you should have one niche and one niche only. BS. But a lot of the stress gets taken away when you don't overdo it. Be honest with yourself and with your clients and what you can deliver, because then you end up making promises you can't keep, and that's 1,000 times worse. The AI is going to be so good, they're not going to hire photographers anymore and videographers. Like, your job is done. You can literally just type in whatever you want. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what class you sign up for. I don't care what book you read. Nothing, and any book worth its merit will tell you nothing beats practice. You need to put those hours behind the wheel. That's the only way you get better at something.
This is the Sphere of Influence podcast, and I'm your host, Moni. First of all, let me say Happy New Year. I hope you guys had some wonderful celebrations, and I hope that this year is the best year thus far. For all of you that are tuning in to listen, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the love and support. I really appreciate it. And as you guys know, or might not know, here we discuss entrepreneur journeys, how businesses are using social media to grow their business, and tips on how to become better entrepreneurs, because I always hope that that information helps you in your journey as an entrepreneur. And joining me today is a special person who you guys might have heard about him because I've mentioned him. His name is Jose Rubalcaba, and he's with Studio R45. And part of the reason why I have my podcast going is because of him. So thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, thank you for having me. This feels like deja vu. But yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love your podcast, at least the little bits I've seen of it. But yeah, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year's to everybody.
Thank you. So I know that last year for you was a life-changing year because you quit your 9 to 5.
Right.
And tell me more about a little bit about that and what inspired you to do that.
Yeah. So where do I start?
At the beginning.
How would I say this? Well, right. No. So I guess kind of like to summarize it. Before I left my 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 was a government job. Not to get too specifics with it, but it was just draining. It was very draining, and it was very heavy work. And by heavy, I mean like it was very emotional, and it emotionally draining, and takes a toll on the soul. And I was there for quite a bit of years, and finally I made the decision to, you know what, I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna pursue photography and videography full time, which I was doing part-time during I had that government job. And then I was saying that it was feasible. I was like, you know what, I think I can build a business around this. So yeah, a couple months ago I made the leap, and it was just it was a good decision. I'm really happy right now with making that decision to leave that 9 to 5. It was a stable job, and it was a good government job, but again, it was draining, and not to say like bashing it or something negative about it. But it was a lot of work, and it's not something I could see myself doing for my whole life. So again, I saw that, okay, I could make photography and videography a full-time thing. And, you know, thanks to that government job, and it paid well, I was very fortunate to have a savings and make a savings really to support myself on this journey, to really see if I can make photography and videography a full-time thing and to support myself. So yeah, hopefully that goes well. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't go the way I wanted to, at least I can say I tried, and I can be proud of myself for trying instead of, you know, living with regret in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that while I was with the government, I made some good connections, and I built a good resume for myself. So if this doesn't necessarily work out the way I want it to, not to sound like I'm full of myself, but I'm confident that I could find another job considering what I've done with my government job. But hopefully I don't have to do that, and I can really, you know, make this videography and photography thing really work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you will. I've had nothing but good experiences with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are a professional,
Thank you,
and
thank you.
he has a good sense of humor.
Thank you, thank you.
But from everything that the times that we've worked together,
Mm-hmm.
it's been great. So
Yeah.
I know that you will be successful.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think I mean, it's a pleasure working with you, of course. You're very good at what you do, and I'm sure your audience knows you're a photographer as well. So I
They don't
They
actually.
don't. Oh, well, she's a photographer too, and she actually helps me a lot when I need a second hand. She's one of my first go-to photographers that I go to if I need another hand during a wedding or event or really anything that I need. If I need that second hand or a second camera, I know she knows what she's doing and she gets the results that I want. So, thank you for that. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's a pleasure working with you. It's a pleasure working for you when you hire me, and getting this podcast going. It's been awesome, and it's cool to see it grow. And yeah, it's just it's a great experience.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so thank you again, and definitely something I encourage is work with others.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go back on what you're talking about, I think it's very important, especially in social media and in pretty much in anything, right? Like
Hmm.
collaborating with people. The more people the more people could reference you out to other people. So
Yeah,
making those
100%.
connections are very
100%.
important.
Yes. That I see it so many times. I'm sure you guys see it all the time as people are pushing do ads on Instagram, do ads on Instagram. I'm sure they work. I'm sure they do what they need to do, but honestly, from what I've seen and even when I was doing photography part-time, most of the stuff that I get is always through word of mouth. It's on the rare occasion that somebody will approach me or seek me out, you know, through their own devices. It's I would say 9 times out of 10 right now for me. And from other people that I speak with, a lot of the referrals that they get is from word of mouth of people they know, and they reach out to somebody else.
Right. And that goes to show your type of work ethic because not everybody gets referrals, refer back
No, and I'm
again.
very
So,
fortunate. Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate that I do get those referrals and people, seek me out after they hear from another friend
mm,
the work that I do for them. If
yeah.
that makes sense. I don't know if I said that right, but yes, word of mouth. That's the key word here. That's the key phrase, I should say. Yeah.
Very nice. So,
Yeah.
going back to your life decision and jumping out of a 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
into being an entrepreneur,
Right.
was there anything holding you back before? Like, what was the, I guess, biggest deciding factor for you to actually like take that action last year?
Wow. First of all, scary. I'm not gonna lie. It was very scary to do it because it was a very comfortable job. It was very consistent. It had a lot of stability, and I wasn't worried about anything. The benefits, the constant income coming in, and luckily that government job paid me really well, and I was able to save up so that way I can make that decision. I think that was definitely a big part of it. Different little things take, you know, a part of how you decide big choices of your life, like leaving a steady job. But that was one thing. I was able to save up. I was able to build a cushion for myself so that way I could really pursue this business of photography and videography. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Again, I know I left the 9 to 5. I know it could be draining, but I do appreciate how it helped me mature and the money I was able to save up with it. And I made a lot of good relationships that way with friends. And yes, but why I left it after making that decision, I'm glad I did. And I made it more because after being years in the positions that I was in, the particular field that I was in for the government, it takes an emotional toll on you. And it's very heavy work. And kudos to the people that have lasted a lot longer than me.
Hmm.
I was just shy of 10 years. Again, kudos to the people that can make it a lot further, but I just couldn't do it. I felt myself changing. And so after doing that for several years, that also helped making the decision of like, okay, let me be artistic. Let me
Mm.
be, which I've always been my whole life, whether it be with music or with photography and videography. So yeah, I'm so happy that I did do it. Uh, it's scary. It's scary because it's not steady. I'm used to that government stability. So
Right.
But it feels good. It feels good to really focus on art and my craft, and even just the small amount of time that I've had right now to really not, I don't want to say distracted, but I don't have to delegate time and energy into my government job. I've been able to, really pour that into photography, videography, and music. I've seen so many leaps and bounds already, how much I've progressed. So yeah, I'm really fortunate. I'm really excited for this journey that I'm entering.
And how was it moving from a 9 to 5 where I think it's a challenge, right? When you're an employee and you go from an employee position and now you are in charge of everything as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. Like, how do you handle that? And like, how do you balance it all?
I mean, right now it feels easy, but I think that's because my business isn't that big,
Okay.
I don't really have employees. I mean, I'll hire, companies to help me out. Like, for instance, hire, what's the word? Freelancers to help me out with certain things. But right now I don't find it too challenging. Luckily, and again, thanks for the government job, it taught me how to be organized. And so it helped me to keep on top of things.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that I have those skills, those organizational skills. So right now it's manageable for sure. And I think as I grow, I won't hesitate to hire somebody or really not delegate, but outsource those responsibilities that I might not have time to do or I don't have the knowledge to do.
Right.
But yeah, again, right now it's not too challenging, but I think I'm very fortunate in the sense that I know what it had to take. And I had already had my foot in the door when it came to photography because I was doing it part-time while I had my government job. So it wasn't like out of nowhere I was like, oh, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a gradual step into it. It wasn't something scary that I was just jumping into the deep end. So I think that helps a lot. I don't want it to sound, I like, disclaimer to your audience. I don't want it to just sound like, yeah, quit your 9 to 5. I definitely took the precautions that I needed to do, save up that money, build up some clientele, so at least some flux of money would come in. That's not where I want it to be, but as you grow and it can do it. And that's why, I was able to save with the government and, give myself that cushion and, cross my T's and dot my I's to make sure that it was feasible for me to leave that job.
Yeah. And I think he's very, what would be the word? Simple, and not in a bad way. I think
I feel offended right now.
No, I'm so sorry.
I'm kidding.
I'm not trying to offend you.
I'm kidding.
In a good way, because I feel me as a business owner, and I don't know if anybody has experienced this as a business owner or a new business owner. I feel overwhelmed sometimes because there's the website, there's the this and the that, and you're trying to not spend as much money and outsource stuff, especially at the beginning. And for those of you that are feeling like that, I feel like you need to step back and think you don't have to get everything done now. Like, everything has to be perfect. Like, you don't have to have a logo right now. Like, you're just starting out, right? Like, sometimes we focus on perfection, on things that don't really matter. And that's me. I'm speaking for myself.
Right.
But from the conversations that we've had, I love that you keep it simple. It's like, just stick to the basics, to the things that matter, and to the things that are going to make you money, which is like, like, it feels like it should be like common sense, but sometimes I think we get wrapped up in having everything so perfect, and that we just stop focusing on the things that actually matter. So I appreciate that about you.
Oh, thank you. Very flattering. Thank you. I think that comes more from an understanding that I come from the mindset of, you put on the workload on yourself, or you put the expectation on yourself in comparison to the work you're doing and the clientele you're serving. Not to say that my clients are lower class or whatever, but I'm not being hired by Pepsi. You know what I mean? I'm being hired by, people in my community, my neighbors. So, I mean, I would love to produce a product that Pepsi would buy for my neighbor. But let's be honest, my neighbor's not paying me to do, that big brand Pepsi level of work. So I know my limitations that I have with my experience, my knowledge, and ultimately my gear that I have as far as like, video cameras and cameras go. So I don't stress of trying to look, I don't want to say professional because I do try to be professional, but I don't give myself that uphill battle of trying to put out a multi-million dollar commercial on the budget and materials that I don't have. So I give myself the responsibility of meeting my client and their needs. So, and right now, like, let's say Pepsi did come up to me right now, I have no problem saying no, even as big as opportunity it would be. But for them to say, hey, you're going to produce this whole thing like from scratch, I'd be like, I don't have that equipment. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the manpower to do it. It's just not feasible. But if they ask me, hey, can you man one of the cameras or be the focus puller or whatever?
Right.
That's just camera gear speak, by the way. Don't It's just basically saying just taking a smaller role in it. I would, but a lot of the stress gets taken away when you don't overdo it. And I for being a beginner, not beginner, but really going into full time into this field, I understand that my website's not going to look as good as some big old studio from LA. So it's just, you have to, from the way I see it, you have to understand where you're at, and you have to, I mean, definitely challenge yourself, but you have to be not easy on yourself, but you have to, I don't know the right word I'm trying to say, but you can't be so hard on yourself.
Right.
Definitely challenge yourself, grow, but it has to be natural.
Right.
You can't, you have to go through the process. You have to take that path.
Yeah.
You can't just
You have
teleport to the top of the
earn
mountain.
your stripes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You can't just teleport yourself to the top of the mountain. You have to walk up there.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing that helps me from not stressing and not, and it's not that I try to go for, the most basic thing I can do. It's just, what can I deliver right now to its best possibility that I can do.
Right.
So yeah, and then I don't ever stretch myself too thin. So if I get asked to do a job and I know I can't do it, I won't accept it. And I'll be honest, and be honest with yourself and with your clients and what you can deliver, because then you end up making promises you can't keep, and that's 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
1,000 times worse. So, be honest with yourself. Tell yourself what you can do. And the beauty of that is, when you tell yourself what you can do, is like, oh, I can do that. And that's when that's a lot of my confidence comes from, is like, I know I can deliver this. So I know I can promise it, and I know what I can do.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you touched on that, because I feel like when you're a new entrepreneur too, you tend to overthink what you can deliver, right? And you start saying yes to everything because you need the money and you want to get the client,
Yes.
And just like you said, it's okay to say, no, I can't do it right now. So, and I think I've made that mistake in the past, taking on a client, or taking a client that maybe we didn't see eye to eye because I was thinking of the money. So it's something to think about. So, but beyond the technical skills that photographers should have, what would you say are some soft skills that somebody should have? And the reason why I ask is because, my podcast is about helping other possible entrepreneurs that might want to get into this field. So what would you say they would need, aside from obviously knowing how to man a camera and, the information behind like manning a camera?
So I think to preface this, if you are a videographer or photographer, you're an artist. Maybe one day you'll just run that business aspect of it, which comes with a whole different set of skills. But if you're manning a camera, whether it be video or regular camera for photos, you're an artist. And so being an artist, you have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone. You can't be totally timid and shy, unless of course you're doing product photography, but even then you have to talk to clients. But being an artist, you have to be able to communicate and have those social skills. I think one of the biggest things for your social skills and being able to communicate is when you're posing your models, or for whoever hired you, whether it be, bride and groom or some family, for family photos. They don't know what they're doing. They might know one or two poses just because, Instagram and people know their angle, but that accounts for only 2 or 3 photos, and they hired you to they definitely hired you to give them more than 2 or 3 photos.
Right.
So you have to be able to communicate how you want them to pose and how the photos are going to be taken. Which you can't do that if you're shy.
Yeah.
You can't be timid. And it goes with any other job. Like, it's that confidence. So you can't be timid. I think that's the biggest one. And also on top of your clients, when you're trying to lock down a client to, close that deal,
Yeah.
you need those social skills to talk to them.
Right. For sure.
And
And sorry, go ahead.
no, you just cut me off. Go ahead, keep going. That's cool. I mean, you also decided to take the bigger chair of the two. Go ahead and do the power move. That's fine.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. No, sorry. Not to cut you off. But I think another soft skill that you have to do, I think you have to be organizational, especially if you're doing your own business. I know I talked about being an artist with the video camera and stuff, but if
Yeah.
you wanted to see, let's be honest, like, you need to know some sort of,
For sure.
you have to have some business savvy to yourself. I'm not sure that's the right phrase, but you need to know what you're doing, at least, so that way if tax season comes along, you're not completely blindsided when you owe the government thousands of dollars or, things like that. So you definitely need to know that things and keeping yourself organized to make sure that you can be artistic, which I'm assuming that's what most videographers and photographers went into it. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate. You go into photography, videography because you love the art of it.
Yeah. I think every entrepreneur, they go into whatever field because they love whatever it is, but then you have taxes and you have all the other things that you didn't think about prior to being there, and it's just
and you can hire somebody to do that for you, but really in the beginning, when those numbers are lower and that paperwork is a lot smaller, it's something that you don't need to outsource if you just took the time to learn it. You don't have to spend that money, and you can allocate those funds to something else. But in the future, when your business or things get bigger, and I'm saying this like I have a big business, I don't, so disclaimer, but I'm sure once your business gets bigger and you won't have, your time is spread even more thin now that you've gotten bigger, you will need to hire somebody else, maybe a possible employee, or just outsource it.
But you will have this massive business.
I hope so.
Put it out in the universe.
I hope so.
I'm a believer. You have to put it out in the universe.
I hope so. Yeah.
But for...
You know what? Before we continue, can I use the restroom? I'm so sorry. I really
Yes,
have to go.
Of course.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, we're back. Thank you for letting me pee.
You're welcome.
Full disclosure, don't shake my hand. I didn't wash them. I figured time was of the essence, so there's no point in wasting my time with water.
Fully noted. Fully noted. So we were talking about... You see?
I don't remember.
You threw me off now.
I don't know.
Anyways, going back to...
Technically, we're talking about peeing.
You're right. But before that.
Okay,
before
sorry.
the pee break.
Sorry. Okay.
So we were talking about all entrepreneur stuff. But so talking about what kind of photography do you like to do? Like, tell me more about, do you have a preference, or is it, do you not care what you take photos of? Like, what's your preference?
I mean, I prefer people in portraits. I really love the close-ups, like when you get beauty shots of the face, or
with
the torso.
Clothes or without clothes?
With clothes, 100%.
I'm sorry. And I just came to mind some like really weird family photos that are naked. And
oh yeah, I see those. You know what? I would do those just because they're funny. So I guess I shouldn't say solely just with clothes. So I'll do those. Yeah, those JC Penney's that some do naked. As awkward as they are, I think they're super funny. So I would do them, as long as they're ironically naked. But yeah, so I love taking photos of people, and this is just a preference, by the way. I actually love taking photos of everything. I just think it's a beautiful art, but I do prefer people. I like the expressions of people. I like photoing the beauty of people. I worked with some of my favorite photos. I worked with this, I don't remember her name at this moment, but she was a makeup artist, and not just for beauty, but like, she made really cool like artistic pieces, like zombie stuff and things of that nature, and they were really beautiful pieces. And so I took a lot of photos of her, and I worked with her, and those are some of my favorite shots. And they're all close-ups, their face, and of course they're the face because she does the face painting, so it really accentuates it. So I think those are my favorite, followed by close musical gear, but that's because that's how I started taking photos, was with music gear.
Okay. So is that what inspired you to be a photographer?
It definitely helped me get my foot in the door. because my first love for arts is music. I've played music for the majority of my life. And then I just want to start taking photos of it because when I was late teens, so 19, my late teens, 19 up until like 21, 22, social media was really booming. And so everybody was doing the photos and everything. So I was like, oh, I want to be a part of it, of course. I'm not going to stand here being like, oh no, I'm better than that. No, I love posting stuff. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, so I was posting those photos and I was posting my friend's stuff and it kind of just grew from there. And then after taking those photos and I really liked them, I was like, you know what? I know my way around a camera. Let's see if I can make money with it, which is when I started, doing family photos and, portraits and weddings and stuff. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. And I really like, especially candid photos when you're at an event, they're super magical and not to say you can't get beautiful, magical shots or beautiful shots when you're posing a model or posing a family or just a person, but those candid shots, those are probably some of my favorites. They come out really good, just catching the expression of people and how their genuine expression really is.
Gotcha. And so now I remember we're talking about work balance and all of that. How do you find a right balance of working and living? Because I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like, I just literally today I saw a post that had me laughing because it's like, what does a government job look like? It's like 9 to 6. What does the office job look like? 9 to 6. And, and then she goes, well, what does an entrepreneur life look like? And it's like 24/7. And, so it's just like, how do you make sure that you don't get burnt out and find that balance?
With my life?
No, with life and work.
Yeah. I know, like balancing the two. I think the government job was hard to balance. Not hard to balance, but I think that was more complicated because I wasn't doing something I loved. But with this so far, and again, I was doing this part-time while I had my government job. So, but now going into full-time, I don't know. I don't find it hard because I love doing it.
Yeah. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying...
How do I do it?
Because, okay, so for me, I love what I do.
Yeah.
But I know that sometimes I work all day and I'm in the office all day and maybe
I'm going to move your mic a little bit. Sorry, I'm going to move your mic just a little bit. Just give you so that way you have a little more room to talk. Go ahead.
And this is why I hire him. Anyways, but how I was saying, like, I know that I could, because I love what you do, because we love what we do, then all of a sudden we're here working 10, 12 hours, and maybe that's shouldn't be the case all the time. So we need to find that, like, okay, hey, I need to take care of myself and work out or whatever it is that you do, meditate, or, so like, how do you find your balance with that?
I don't think I can explain it. I don't think I've ever really thought about it because I don't feel like I have a problem balancing it. So I've never really put too much thought about into it, doing this full photography and videography thing. I definitely thought about it when I had that government job because I had to balance this and that government job and my family, my personal life. And I mean, now it's so much easier because I don't have that 9 to 5. And yes, I work late, editing photos, editing videos, and which I love, by the way. And I think that helps. I like it, and I understand that I need to work later hours or funny hours because, I mean, I can't work if nobody's hired me yet. So there's nothing that... I mean, I have my personal stuff that I put on my Instagram and stuff. You post for me on Instagram and I have to send to you. So that doesn't take that much time. And that's stuff that I do. So even on the weeks that I do get hired a lot, I don't find it hard to balance. At least I don't feel it. Again, I've never had to think about it because I don't feel like it's unbalanced. And because I have the freedom of working whatever time I want, let's say a family event happens, I just don't work during that time. I go to the family event, enjoy my life, and then when I come back, and again, it's because I love doing it. So I don't dread like, oh, I still have to come back and edit a video. Like I like doing that stuff. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer the question. I didn't help anybody out there with balancing. No,
that's okay.
But I'm very fortunate.
That's your experience, and that's okay. You know. So talking about photography in the future, like, what is your prediction of where photography and videography is going in the future, especially with AI and all these phones
Yes.
that like shoot amazing. Like, what do you think?
When it comes to AI, I don't know if it's in the near future or in 50 years or God knows when. Um, but eventually, AI is going to be so good. They're not going to hire photographers anymore and videographers. Like, your job is done. You can literally just type in whatever you want. The all the database on the internet, and I promise you, it will have every last centimeter down to the little minute detail of your body and your skin, and you can type in "put me into this" or "me and my husband in wedding photos of this," and it will do it perfectly. Again, I don't know if that's tomorrow or if that's 1,000 years from now, but it's gonna, trust me, it's gonna get there, and we're obsolete at that point. But until then, I'm gonna enjoy taking photos for people, but it's definitely gonna get there. It's not gonna slow down. And maybe that's something that I go into business too at some point, which I probably should. But yeah, AI is not going to slow down. Let's be honest. We've never seen some bit of technology and been like, well, that got worse. Well, unless it's like an American car, those got worse. But most things are like, it's only going to get better. And the AI is going to make a lot of creative, jobs obsolete. There's going to be this handful that will be able to do it, and people will love just having a photographer at let's take a wedding for example. We'll just love having somebody there to do it, and it'll be like a retro thing someday. It'll be like, oh my god, so bougie, like, oh, like so old school, like having a photographer. Some people do that, but I think most people won't have it won't be feasible to run a business that way at some point. Again, I don't know if that's the near future or 1,000 years. Who knows? Yeah, and as far as the gear, I think phones are gonna take over cameras at some point for two reasons. One, they just the what they can do now. It's so amazing. I won't be. I think the first thing that's gonna come by is that cell phones are gonna take over video for doing videos especially at like events like weddings, receptions, speeches, public speaking events and things. That's probably going to be the first thing that those videos take. The cameras will take over for those videos just because, one, again, they do so well, and then two, I know it seems kind of, I want to use the word tacky when you see a phone, somebody's recording, and maybe like it'll seem tacky to hire somebody to use the camera, but that's like an older generation mindset. You got to think about it. Like, I mean, we're not that old, but our parents and their parents I've heard, you guys heard, the elderly generation be like, oh, phones are so complicated, I want nothing to do with them. And then think how we embraced our generation embraced it, and how we enjoy the phone and we really love the phone. And the next generation, was born with it. The following generation after me was born with cell phones. And so they have a whole different outlook on that phone. They might not look at it as tacky at the wedding. They just normal. They're using a camera to video my wedding. And we're also being programmed to really enjoy videos from phones with social media.
Right.
All these shorts, most of those videos. Of course, you'll have your channels here and there that really use pro gear to use those videos. But a lot of those clips that you're looking at, laughing at, and enjoying are from cell phones. And with cell phones catching up with big old body cameras and stuff, as far as like quality goes, yeah, it's only gonna be more and more prevalent that phones are gonna be doing videos for weddings and events. And then after that, I think it'll be cameras that will be be transitioned into cell phones. Yeah, maybe for those bigger industries, maybe they'll still be using a lot of video cameras and stuff. But for
To record a movie.
yeah. But even then, that might change. I think it'll get from both views. Like, it'll be easier for a client to not see this big old like setup that you have to do. And then from the business owner, like, oh, I just have to take my phone and it does the job. So it's gonna transfer. Like, think about those big old TVs that we had, with the big old back to it, and they got smaller. Like, it's just so much more convenient. So that's how I see it. At least yeah.
And that brings up a good point.
That made me so sad thinking of my job, like just this career started. I was like, it's all gonna go away, but whatever, it's fine.
Well, we don't know when that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
anyways,
true.
but The point that you brought up that we could do it with our phones nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people have the latest phone.
Mm-hmm.
Most people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no excuse why you're not creating content. You know, and that this goes to my followers and my clients and my all of my entrepreneurs that are trying to post stuff. It's like there is no reason for you not to be creating. You don't need the latest expensive camera and professional camera, right? You need
No.
a cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
lighting, and good audio. That's it.
Yes.
That is it.
Yes. And even then, you have some wiggle room with some of those things too.
That's true.
Yeah. When it comes to social media posts, like if you're just trying to get your name out there, I think it's 100% that. I think it gets more touchy with, like, especially in my field for videos. And because it's not there, as much as I said that phones are, really progressing as far as like technology and the kind of quality they can do, they're not at the like a professional video camera level yet. But it will. I'm sure it will be one day. But they're not there yet. So having a video business and then most of your videos look like cell phone footage, I can see that's where it's detrimental. But for everybody else, like let's say you're just doing real estate and stuff, your phone will do just fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead and post with that. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. And then when we're thinking about podcasts too, I think for podcasting, yeah, you definitely have to then transfer over to an actual camera because you can record a very big file on your phone. Like it's just not going to work.
I feel like you could. I think we just didn't look too into it, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, you can, but then to export it and that just my small, really tiny videos, when I'm trying to get them out of the phone, I have issues. So I just feel like
that might be a personal problem that you had on your camera, but
wow.
or your phone, I should
throw
say.
Me under the bus.
Well, I don't know.
Are you trying to say I'm not technologically savvy?
No,
I'm offended. Wow.
Who knows? I don't know.
So we're done.
I haven't had a problem.
We're done with the pot. I'm kidding. But so, what do you think is the secret to being a successful photographer? At least in your experience, right? Everybody has a different definition of success, right?
Oh, man. Are you asking me what it means to be successful or what it takes to be successful?
Let's do both.
Of course, that's why you never give your clients options. You just tell them what you're going to give them.
Oh my God.
Then they give you both. Always both. The answer is always both. If you have a client and you ask them to choose, they're going to say both. Don't give them a choice. Tell them. Anyways, I think what it takes to be it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be a successful photographer business-wise, it's just going to take hard work, and you're going to have to put in the work. One, on perfecting your craft, and two, on learning the business aspect of it, the numbers, the legal parts, your taxes. But to just be like an artistic photographer, that's just putting the hours into your craft. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what class you sign up for. I don't care what book you read. And any book worth its merit will tell you nothing beats practice. You need to put those hours behind the wheel. That's the only way you get better at something. You might gain some knowledge from reading books, and I read books too. All power to you. And I think they're a good tool, but it will never replace hours behind the wheel, time behind the wheel. It will never replace that. So yeah, to be a good photographer, artistic wise, you just gotta put in the hours. And then if you want to add the business side of it, like you have to know what you're doing, and you have to do that research and really finding out what it takes to build your business. And then I think what it means to be a good photographer, just the artistic point, I think it's if you're happy with your work. I mean, yes, you can critique your work and say, oh, I wish I did this better, or this and that. But like being happy with it, like being able to say, like, I did it. And being able to say, like, considering the circumstances, it might not be the best that you did. And let's say that we'll take I don't want to alienate any of your audiences. For those that aren't photographers or videographers, let's say, you're doing a photo shoot, and it's like, I wish I would have brought this light. Well, you didn't have that light. So considering you didn't have that light, did you do what you could without that light? then I would be happy with that. I think that would be a successful photographer. Business wise, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. When you're introducing a business, it's money. If you're in the black, that just meaning that like you're not in severe debt and your business is making money. That's successful. That's just not making millions. It's the second you can pay your bills and you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about not making payments on something and not have to worrying about money. And I'm not saying not worrying about money because I can spend millions. No, I'm not talking about like, hey, I support myself, I support my family, and I can pay bills. That's success. That's success. If you don't have to work another job, that is success.
Yeah.
Now you might not be as rich as you want to be, but you just have to set those expectations the way how it really is. You have to be honest with yourself. And in my opinion, if you're paying bills and stuff, that's success. You're making it happen.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest barrier for the people that are trying to start that photography business or that videography business?
The biggest barrier for business wise, or just like
to start as a business owner, or as a, like start like, hey, I'm going to be making money from photography or videography.
I think two biggest things that I hear some of my colleagues say that I see as a problem is a lot of them want those big high end jobs, those clients, when they don't have anything to show before that, or they really don't have the skill set to do it yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just you need to put in the time. And they want to reach the top of the mountain before even making any step forward into climbing the first hill. So you have to be realistic with that, and I think that's what kind of stops people. And another one was, what was the question again? I felt like I kind of deviated from it. I kind of vaguely know what you're asking, but ask it again.
Like, what is the biggest barrier?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a big barrier. Setting realistic expectations, so that way you're not demoralized within week one. And then another one is, and I'm talking about business. This is the business part. You can't just go out taking photos and taking money. Yes, that does good, but if you want to run a business, you need to know what taxes you need to file, which forms you need to file, how to establish your business, how to make sure that you're recognized, and how to go about making sure that you have the proper paperwork. Because it's gonna happen, and it will happen, is one day someone's gonna knock on your door and be like, hey, I noticed you're running a business and you don't have the proper paperwork. You're not paying the proper money to taxes, and you're screwed. Like, that's not like, oh, sorry, my bad. No, they're gonna come after you, and it's gonna hurt. So as long and especially in the beginning stages, it doesn't take a lot of work. It doesn't take a lot of knowledge, but you do need to take that effort to learn those things, to learn how to do it the proper way, so that way you don't have that person come knocking on your door. Until like you're way in advance and you have lawyers and you could take care of that. It's not a big deal. But in the beginning stage, when you can take care of it and it's totally feasible to do it, definitely do it.
And what are 3 tips you would give to those people that are just starting out? You kind of touched on some, but
I one, set real expectations on yourself. 2, eat a good burrito.
Burritos make everything right.
They really do. I think what I mean by that is to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. That means like make sure you're eating right, and you're maintaining your health and your sanity. And I think the last tip, this is to succeed, right? Like to make it happen.
Well, just to start. I mean, just 3 tips that you would give them at the beginning, like somebody that's brand new, they haven't started.
I guess put in the work. I think that's the biggest one. In anything you do, and that goes to everything. That went from my government job. That went from learning instruments. That went from learning how to pick up the camera and take photos and stuff. I'm definitely still learning. If you have to keep learning, because everything changes. So you need to keep learning. You can't think that you know it all. That's a recipe for disaster, is thinking you know it all. But yeah, I think those are the 3 big tips. Eat a burrito. A big one. Okay. That was number 2. But continue.
I think I don't know if you've ever heard of what is this guy's name? Oh my gosh, I'm going blank here.
Tony Robbins. I hate him. So inappropriate. Super inappropriate.
No, Hermosi. Alex Hermosi.
I know. I don't think I've
He
heard that
talks a
name.
little bit about. By the way, I'm not an affiliate. He doesn't pay me to say this, but one of the best books I've read from him was 100 Million Offers. And it talks about when you're just getting started to have that humility of like, hey, you're just getting started. So don't think like, oh, I'm going to go and make that all that money. Like create a portfolio, maybe do a like some free shoots and obviously master the camera and all of that, right? But in order to get to a place where you're getting paid, sometimes you do have to do that free work to establish a name for yourself.
100%. Don't let anybody tell you you don't need to do free work. Do some free work. One, it gains experience underneath your belt, and two, it puts your foot in the door with a potential client. Now, with that said, don't get abused either. Don't get free work like 100 miles away from you. Get something in your hometown. Don't let them tell you that, hey, you're going to deliver this hour-long product for them. Like, for my instance, a video or or you're going to produce 100 photos for me. Don't do that either. Don't get abused. But like, hey, let me do 10 photos of your restaurant that I live right down the street from. Perfectly reasonable. That makes sense. One, now you have something, and you tell them, of course, because you're doing it for free. It's like, hey, I'm allowed to use this for my portfolio and post, so that way people can see my work. Cool. And that's also like, if they really like your photo, I mean, trust me, a restaurant can use more than 10 photos, and they'll probably, if they really like it, they'll hire you. So there's that foot in the door. Again, do it so it makes sense. Don't do something that's super far away. Don't get abused. Don't. For instance, for me, doing I also record podcasts as I help Monica. Don't do a whole production of there's 4 cameras and 4 angles and 3 lights and stuff like that. No, that's absurd. That's not worth your time. Yeah, it looks good. And maybe the only feasible reason why you would do that for free is that you already have a setup that in your own studio or in your own home, and you just need somebody to record because you don't feel comfortable like doing a podcast for yourself. That's the only feasible way I would say that you should do that for free. But if you're traveling to somebody, again, close, make it reasonable for yourself. Close, just take one angle's fine. One angle camera podcast is fine. You don't have to bring your whole big old console. You can just bring a small recorder for him and one guest. Like, free work, definitely do it, but within reason. Within reason.
I agree.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take a break. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We're going to take a small break because I need to go to the restroom.
Okay.
You've rubbed it off on me.
All right. And we're back.
Don't steal my line.
Too late, I said it.
And we're back. No. I'm taking it back.
We're back. Just so everybody knows, Monica did not wash her hands either. I told her to hurry up. And she was actually pooping. So now everybody knows. Thank you.
Thanks for divulging all my private information. But by the way, I did wash my hands. Unlike other gross people.
What?
Sanitation comes first. Thank you. Anyways. So, talking about social media, because, this is what I do. What are you currently doing to promote yourself online? Are you doing anything? Are you not doing anything? Do you think it's important? Like, what is your perspective?
I definitely think it's important. It's naive to say that social media isn't important. It is 100% important. I post on Instagram, not as regularly as I would like, but I definitely do it. And then you help a lot with editing a lot of my clips, which helps a lot.
We're going to fix that.
Yeah, I do need to jump on that. and I personally, I don't know, to me, that is a chore. Posting is a chore for me. As much as I like showing off and stuff, it is a chore for me. So it's not my first thing to go to when I'm, about my work day and what I need to do for the day. But I know it's important. I do need to do better at that. And I am conscious of it. So yeah, but yeah, I know it's important. I feel like I'm being like scolded right now by my mom.
Hot seat right now.
Oh my God.
I'm glad. And we'll have to talk about this fixing issue of posting more often. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to post 7 days a week or obnoxiously 5 times a day or, a good photo.
Yeah, don't be that person either. That's
don't
annoying.
Be that person. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
You'll get exposure for sure, but it might not be the best exposure.
I'm not trying to bash on anybody. You do whatever you like, right? But I personally think.
You know what? I'll say it. I'm gonna bash. If you're posting 5 days a day, 5 times a day, I should say. If you're posting 5 times a day, I'm probably not following you because you annoy the fuck out of me.
I stand by what I say. I'm not trying to bash anybody. If that's what you want to do and you have the capability and that's what you feel comfortable doing, then you do you. However, if you want to post once a day, great. And if you don't have the time to do that, 4 to 5 times, I'm sorry, I said a day. 7 times a week is what I meant to say. If you could do that, do that. If you can't, then 4 to 5 times a week and you're good. So, but I wanted to end the round, as I always do, with my rapid fire round. Now you're really going to be in the hot seat.
Okay.
Are you ready?
They better be good questions.
They are.
All right. Let's see.
What is one thing you wish you knew before you started your journey?
Lotto numbers.
Your journey in photography.
I would benefit from knowing the lotto numbers before they came out.
Wouldn't we all?
Okay. Realistically, one thing I would have known. Probably would have spent more time like lighting techniques. Incorporated more knowledge into how to set up lights. I know now. I'm still learning. I'm always learning, but I wish I would have spent more time learning how to use lighting.
Which, by the way, he's an expert. I think a lot of my
I'm all right.
shots,
I'm all right.
He's taught me how to do them. So
I'm all right.
He's very humble.
He's saying that when I set up the lighting for this podcast and it's very mediocre.
He's very humble. But, gosh, there was a part that you said that I really liked.
Which one?
Right now. You wish you knew.
The lotto numbers?
Yes, exactly. No. Learning. And you said that before too.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's so important, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm the expert. And...
With that said, I believe you can be an expert.
Yes.
But an expert who says they don't need to learn anymore is not an expert.
100%. Yes. I love that. And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
It's like you are continuously learning, whatever it is, whatever craft, whatever subject, you never stop learning. So don't forget that. What has been one of the biggest challenges you've had thus far in your journey, and what did it teach you?
I think contracts, setting expectations with the client.
Have you had any horror stories?
No, not yet. I don't have any horror stories, but just yet. Yeah, but there's definitely some instances where they asked me to do something and it was more than what I wanted to do, what they were paying me for. But I never specified I wasn't going to do it, or it wasn't clear that, it was definitely reasonable that it wasn't something outlandish that they asked me, but it was something extra that I should have been very clear that this is an extra payment or this is an extra charge. And I didn't make that clarification. So that was my fault. So that helped me, open my eyes with how specific and what I need to add to my contracts.
Got it. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur? Diversify.
Tell me more.
I'm only answering this fast because you say it's a rapid round. So this is the rapid round, not rapid round. Pay attention. So diversify. One, with how you're making money, and two, I'm gonna do a hot take right now. I don't believe in niches.
Oh.
I don't believe in niches. Now, are there niches out there? Of course there are. But the whole claim of like, you should have one niche and one niche only. BS. Ask any successful person, and what made them successful was their ability to adapt and be diverse. Let me give you some examples. For rich moguls, do they make all their money off of one source, or do they do different real estate works? Do they invest in different companies? Do they open restaurants? Do they open different companies? Do they have multiple LLCs? The answer, my friends, is yes. Musicians, the most successful musicians out there, we'll take Prince, for instance, one of the most decorated artists of all time, one of the most celebrated musicians of all time. And his music can be called pop, rock, funk. He played bass, guitar, piano, God knows how many other instruments. That is diversity. That is not one single niche. Does he play in different niches? Do people, you know, um, have an expertise in different niches? Sure. Should you only do one? Don't commit financial suicide, people. Don't just go into one niche, and don't let anybody tell you that BS that you need to do one niche and one niche only. Don't do it. You're going to put yourself in a corner that you're not going to be able to get yourself out of. Diversify, my friends. Do it. And don't act like you've never heard these words before. And I'm just connecting the two dots between people who are in the arts and people who are in business. Duh, you've heard so many people who make a lot of money be like, diversify what you need, like your incomes, whatever. And then that wouldn't apply anywhere else. Duh. Duh. Diversify. Don't do just one niche. If you love a certain niche and you want to be an expert in that niche, all power to you. But you have to be able to do other things if you want to succeed. Period.
Love that.
And that goes even when I was with my government job. Like, yeah, I had my position, what I had to do, but that entailed so many different things. I needed to do so many different things, and because if I just did that one thing that I was asked to do, and I mean legally, you know, in a legal standpoint, like I really was just obligated to do what I did, but I wouldn't be successful at what I did, and I wouldn't be able to climb up the ranks in the government if I didn't, you know, was able to do different things and do them well. So diversify. Don't do the one niche. Next question, please.
Next.
In this rapid round, quote unquote.
You know what? It's so funny.
Has anybody else called you out on this?
Nobody's ever called me out on
I'll call
it.
you out on it. That's just the type of person I am.
Thank you.
I've
I
heard,
can always count on you.
I've seen some of the podcast clips that you've done or whatever, and I know I'm not like those that you've seen for people who listen to this podcast. I'm sorry, I'm a little different. Go ahead.
Just a little different.
I'm a little different.
What is one advice that you wish you would have implemented sooner into your journey?
Sooner? I'm relatively, as far as going full time, I'm relatively new to it.
Well, not only in your journey as an entrepreneur, but just like in your journey in life. Because I know you are a newer entrepreneur. Like, what is something that you would have wished you would have implemented sooner into your life? I guess
That's hard. Can I do life? It's not really for business.
Sure, you could do whatever you want.
I don't know. I think maybe some advice I wish I would have taken earlier.
Oh, so you just take every insight?
No, I don't. But I'm trying to think of. Oh, I wish it was earlier. Like maybe one thing I wish would have been earlier would be to invest in something earlier. But I didn't have that much money back then, so I couldn't invest anything serious to make that much money back. But maybe it would have grown by then. Maybe that's something I would have done. Because I definitely, I like to think I work hard, so I've always taken that advice. Just playing, sports the majority of my life, so I've kind of had that work ethic. Maybe played less video games and not pursued women so hard because that took up a lot of time. Maybe.
Wow, what a dog!
No, it wasn't. Okay, there's difference between pursuing and succeeding. Definitely didn't succeed. It wasted a lot of time, and that's most young men. What they do is they waste a lot of time pursuing women. That they just don't do that. But that's a lesson most men learn the hard way. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think of other hard maybe. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Again, I'm sure there's going to be some things I learned the hard way. I've been like, oh, I should listen at that point. But again, I'm relatively young in my full-time business career, being a photographer, entrepreneur, and taking that path. So maybe on our next podcast, ask me that again a couple years down the road,
There you go. I will.
and I can answer that a little bit better. Other than say, don't play video games and don't pursue women so hard.
Okay. What is the most satisfying aspect of what you do?
I think it's the arts part. I've always been super artistic. I keep thinking I'm saying autistic. But I like creating things. And like I was saying earlier, videography and photography is definitely arts. It's an art. You're an artist. Same thing with music. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's, I mean,
Does that answer the question? Does that answer the
Yeah.
question? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that's what I love about it. It doesn't have anything really to do with business, but that's what I like doing. So it makes those late hours more fun and not so dragging.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's your answer. It could be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
you're good.
Well, not whatever I want it to be because I gave you a one word answer and then you're like, no, I need to be more. And so,
Moving on.
okay, sorry.
If
Is this not an open dialogue? Can I have an open conversation with you?
we are, we
Okay,
are.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, last one.
Okay, last question.
If you had any advice
Uh-huh.
to give to somebody that is just starting in photography, what would it be?
Just starting,
Just starting.
put in the work. And that could be anything, not just photography. Like, it takes hours. Don't let anybody fool you. There's no quick way. There's no quick fix. There's no magic word that's going to elevate you. Like, you need to put in the time. And you need to work.
Yes.
You need to do it.
I think because of social media and this, like, a lot of people have gotten this like instant gratification. Everything happens fast. Everything experience happens fast. There's no, like, we're losing
Yes.
that thought that it takes time to get to places, because it's like you see somebody and you see their success, but you didn't see what it took for them to get there.
Yeah.
And
And don't get me wrong. There's a reason why that works, like instant gratification. I feel good when I'm instantly gratified. Don't get me wrong, which is why, for me, at least for me, it's a conscious effort. It's a conscious effort to tell myself, put in the work. No, you need to work. Like, it's not going to be that good as to the analogy that I was saying earlier. It's not going to be a good Pepsi commercial because you didn't do all that work that a Pepsi commercial producer does or a videographer does that has done to work up to that. You need to put in the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's going to beat that. Nothing. Again, instant gratification, I feel good about it too. There's a reason why it works. There's a reason why all these short clips exist, because it freaking works for the people's attention span. So you have to be disciplined and conscious enough to tell yourself, like, I need to work. The only way realistically, there's that outlier every once in a while that does get like instant fame, like, and it's built like that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, that's rare. I know that's not me. Be honest with yourself. Is that you? And most of the answer is going to be probably no, that's not you. Okay, let's be honest. Because if that was you, you're probably not listening to this idiot wearing a Looney Tune shirt. so put in the time. Know that it's a journey and it's going to take time. Don't anybody, and I know it sounds cheesy and corny, it's a journey, but no, I guess that's a nice way of me putting, like, yo, you're gonna work hard, bro. You're just gonna take time.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So this is the end of our podcast. I think the constant message here was earn your stripes and don't overcommit. Like, just know your limitations.
Yeah, be honest with
know?
yourself.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
And I think it's hard when you're just starting, because you want to make money and you don't have the experience of, like, not succeeding and you chew more than you can handle. But as I said, the reason why I created this podcast is so that you could learn from other people and that all this information helps you in your journey. But the only way that it does that is if you actually apply it. So you could read all the books you want, listen to all the podcasts you want, but if you don't apply anything that you heard, it's wasting your time. So for anybody that wants to get a hold of you, well, first of all, tell me all the services that you provide.
Okay.
Because I don't think we covered all that.
No, not really. I think people have an idea, but I'll say it.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Essentially.
And then after that, what do you want me to do?
And then give them your handle. Like, if they want to reach you, where can they find you?
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. I'll look at these cameras. So I do videography and photography, whether that means event, like let's say that you're doing something for your business, like you're giving out a big speech, a big old sermon, for weddings, birthdays, family photos, in a studio, out in a park, out at the beach. I do all of that. I can cover all of that. I can do camera. I can do video. So if you need video at your wedding, I got you. You need photos at your wedding, I got you. You need video at the next family party, I got you. You need photos at the next family party, I got you. If you own a new line of clothes, I can do product photography for your clothes, or if you have some new device, I take product photography and I do videos for that too. That's the main things that I do. It doesn't matter what kind of product that you have, I will photo it. If you need it done, I'm gonna get it done. And then I also do podcasting. That's more of a local thing. If you're in the Orange County area, I do travel. So I bring all the microphones. You don't have to bring anything. I bring all the interfaces. I bring all the preamps. I bring all the cameras. I bring all the lighting. I take care of all that too. And then as far as my handle goes, you can reach me at Studio R. Wow, let me say that right. At Studio R45 Media for Instagram. And then you can find my website, just studior45.com. And then I don't know my email for some reason off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure Monica. We'll put it right there.
Right there.
I don't know if it's right here. Can you read it? Oh, yeah, right there. Is it right here or is it over my face? Who knows? I don't know. It's somewhere there. But yeah, that's where you can reach me. If you need any of those services done, I'll be more than happy to do that for you. I serve all over Southern California. If you want me to travel, I'll be more happy to travel for you too. Just not to some dangerous spots like in the middle of the tundra. I'm not going to do it. I don't do good in the cold. But most places I do travel to. So yeah, thank you, Monica. Right, we're gonna say bye here, right?
Yes,
Thank you
you.
for having me. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Awesome speaking with you. I'm glad I got to meet your audience. Nice to meet you, Charles. I'm glad you always listen. You're a great fan. Becky, an awesome person. Who's the other one you said? Martha. Martha, you know what? I see you. You're working too. Good job.
Thank you. You're always stealing my what I need to say. But thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to be here with me. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in and listening. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one.